Approve American-made products. As someone who makes hay, I'm going to tell you why. We're in Florida. This hay is anywhere from $19.50 a square bale, right? This is about what we go through it for a horse in like a day or two, to $30 a square bale. Up in Maryland, where we make it, it usually costs us $8.50 to $10 a bale to buy. Because fertilizer coming from Canada is going to be increasing to $40,000 this spring for us, we have to increase our hay prices. So even though we're making the product in the country, we still need supplies from other countries, which makes it so we're gonna have to increase prices from $3 to $5 a bale at best, which makes it so that that's the tariff price difference.
Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the...
No, the hell he doesn't. During the last trade war, we saw an increase in farm bankruptcies. We lost 90% of our soybean sales the week the tariffs went on. And that was just playing FAFO in one country. Now the whole world's tariff. I dropped my phone. Soybeans are currently down 28 today. Corn was leaking lower about 5 to 7 cents, and now it's looking at like it's 2 to 1 penny across the board. Crude's down to $61.99, which means no drill, baby, drill. Live cattle are down 4, feeder are down 6. Hogs are down 3, cotton's down almost 3, and the dollar can't decide if it wants to be weaker or stronger. Trump doesn't love the American farm. He doesn't.
It spoke with an Arizona farmer. He farms alfalfa. His name is Shannon Schultz. The Chinese tariff war, he said, could end his business. So take a look at what he told this ABC affiliate.
Shannon Schultz is an alfalfa farmer and exporter.
Normally, this warehouse is completely full of hay. We're not right now because business is just slow.
Business is slow because one of his main customers, China, has imposed retaliatory tariffs on U.S. exports like Arizona alfalfa.
With the current tariffs in place, which is a total of about 66% of retaliatory tariffs by China to us, it puts our product out of the marketplace.
China made up about half of Arizona's exports. Now Schultz says Chinese farms are buying from other countries instead.
South Africa, North Africa, Sudan, Spain.
So in Arizona fields, by the time this alfalfa grows and is ready to be harvested, there may not be a customer to buy it.
It could break us. I mean, it could break a lot of farmers.
Still, Schultz says he supports the goals behind tariffs.
I do support President Trump. And I believe that in the long run, for a lot of instances, this is going to be a good thing. We have to survive till then. I guess the question that I have is, do they need us more or do we need them?
With these new tariffs that we have for products from China, who's going to pay for it? And so many people keep saying, well, the consumer is going to pay for it. The consumer is going to pay for it. And in this case, this is an example of how the consumer isn't going to pay for this cost. This bag right here, it comes from China. It's 25% more costly today than it was 2 weeks ago. And you, as the consumer, aren't going to pay that extra cost. And why? Because the supply and demand of the market means that today, there's all the onions that you, as the consumers, need. We have low onion prices, and we can't raise our prices. So we, as farmers, are absorbing the additional cost when it comes to our bags. When it comes to other inputs, other things that we might be paying for, if it's metal or fertilizer or everything else, for that matter, we're going to be paying for it because we cannot raise our prices. Now, someday in the future, maybe we'll be able to increase those prices and recapture it. But right now, when we need the money to operate, we can't ask for it because there's too many onions, and that's just the fact of the matter. So tariffs don't immediately get passed to you as the consumer. They'll get to you eventually, but right now, me and my family, we as farmers are absorbing the cost of the tariff.
China just announced that their new tariffs are going to specifically target red states. And that should tell you something kind of wild. Other countries understand America better than most Americans do. Seriously. Like, they know that if they slap tariffs on things like soybeans, pork, or other agricultural goods, it's not just about the economics. It's political. Because a lot of that stuff comes from red states. Places that voted for Donald Trump. Places that are key to Republican power. This isn't random, it's strategic. China knows where to put the political pressure points on, and they're pushing on them. They're trying to create pain in areas that are most likely to push Republican leaders to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, a lot of Americans still think foreign policy and trade wars are just about winning or being tough. But this shows that it's way more complex than that. China's basically saying, Cool. You want to play hardball? We'll make your own voters feel it. And the fact that they can pull this off, that they understand our internal politics so well, is kind of alarming. Like, they've done their homework. Have we?
They're the largest tariffs in a century. They're larger than the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, which many people say directly contributed to the Great Depression. Does that worry you?
Of course, those concerns are in the back of my mind, but as we've already alluded to, we're optimists. We do a lot of praying. We have a lot of faith, and our faith is in God and not in administration.
In agriculture, there's about 85% of what happens on my farm that is completely out of my control.
Yeah.
So I have to do the very best I can at managing that 15% of inputs and cost and labor and marketing and signing the best contract and doing the best job that I can, and leave the other 85% up to the good Lord. And that's all we can do, whether it's weather or disease or a hailstorm or a pandemic or administration. And we just weather the storm.
I mean, in North Carolina, every year we prepare for a major hurricane.
Right.
You know, every 3 or 4 years, something drastic is going to happen.
Yeah.
So we're used and we're accustomed to that. Now it's just that much more challenging that we got to get through it, know how to and weather this economic cycle, this storm.
This is the thing I think that confounds people. You're talking about acts of God, acts of nature, hurricanes, rainstorms. This isn't that. This is a person in the White House making decisions. Does that frustrate you at all?
In the world now, we need certainty and we need consistency. And we, like Brandon said earlier, we've got to have trade. All of our markets are depressed right now.
ジェットスタージャパン13周年記念焼肉食べ放題に支払ってもいい金額はどうやら2803円らしいだったら国
And the only way to really succumb to that is we've got to be sending stuff on boats going across the seas.
Yeah.
But I think that's also where part of not just the president comes into play, but I think that's where also a lot of the cabinets of staff and all the people that he has, and also all your other department agencies come into play and making sure we have those relationships.
Do you think the president has that?
I mean, I think he knows he's got people in place, and I'm hoping that that's what he can rely on.
I would rather face this trade war than a Category 4 or 5 storm coming off the coast of Wilmington Strait.
American workers and American taxpayers have been taken advantage of for multi-generation, for decades. And it's time for somebody to stand up and put us first and put the country first and do what's best for the country, not what's best for the politicians.
Even if you as a farmer suffer.
That's right.
I mean, some people would hear that and be quite surprised that you're prepared to put your livelihood, your family's livelihood, on the line for the sake of politics.
Well, that's my duty is for being the head of my household. I've got to do what I got to do, what's going to be better for the future, better for the kids. It's not about today, it's about the long term. The long game is where the rewards are going to be.
But don't the price of tariffs and what happens in commodity markets like soybean, doesn't that affect you in the short term and affect your ability to provide for your family?
Look, tariffs will probably have a detrimental effect on soybean price in the near.
Your ability to provide for your family.
Look, tariffs will probably have a detrimental effect on soybean price in the near future.
All right, guys, I didn't really want to have to get on here and do this, but I had to. These are fiberglass steaks right here. Those big, bulky steaks on the back of the truck, wooden steaks. I called 2 weeks ago to get a quote on these fiberglass steaks because we need some more steaks this year. I got a quote, 83 cents. Those big.
We, as farmers, are absorbing the cost of the tariff.
All right, guys, I didn't really want to have to get on here and do this, but I had to. These are fiberglass steaks right here. Those big, bulky steaks on the back of the truck, wooden steaks. I called 2 weeks ago to get a quote on these fiberglass steaks because we need some more steaks this year. I got a quote, 83 cents. I called the man this morning. I said, hey, I know these tariffs are crazy and everything going on. I said, what can you do me on those fiberglass steaks now if we needed a load? It's a 3-month ETA from time you place the order. He said, Taylor, you don't want to hear this price that I'm about to give you. And I said, well, give it to me anyways. He said, each of those steaks now is going to be $1.74 a piece. And I said, well, you know, and I know both that we can't do that, and that's going to be impossible. So that's just to let you know a little bit of what we're going through out here on our farm and what farmers in general are going through. These tariffs, not the best thing for our country. I voted for Trump.
Tariffs are not going to improve.
Hey, it's Joe from Georgia. I just went to a paint store. It's Sherwin-Williams. And I'm having my cabinets refinished. And I've got a great person doing it. And they told me at the beginning, they said the paint that we're looking at might be expensive. But if you're going to do your cabinets, you want the best, right? So, the gallery series, we want it to be Urbane Bronze. And so I said, you know what? I get a discount through my company with Sherwin-Williams. So if you don't mind, I'll just pick the paint up. And of course, she was like, oh, yes, sure. So I understand now a lot about tariffs a little better because the paint I got was affected by that. $153 a gallon. $153 a gallon if I didn't have the discount through my company. I ended up paying for 3 gallons of paint $346.65. Now, I bought this paint before because I had all my interior doors done with it. And this was just about 3 months ago. It was $78 a gallon. So I just paid the tariff, the tariff that we as consumers don't pay, the other country pays. But, the same 3 gallons of paint that cost me $210 before the tariffs, $346.65. Oh, there's the receipt if no one believes that. So, have a good day.
So, Trump's tariffs are now delivering the painful consequences nobody in MAGA world thought they'd have to face. Their wallets are bone dry, and misery is knocking on every door, all thanks to their dad, who confidently promised to bring down prices on day one, then casually forgot those promises the moment he stepped into the Oval Office. Life in America? It's now giving off serious, collapsing economy vibes. Ever since the orange dude grabbed the steering wheel instead of making America great again, he's been making America regret again. The mistakes are stacking up faster than the campaign hats, and at this rate, he's about to hand back an America worse than the one he